too smooth. That mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down show. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What it is, you guys already know what it is. And as you can tell by that Vato walking right there looking like a lummy and a dummy, we're talking about none other than the Night Stalker himself, Richard Ramirez. And I kind of wanted to do this a little bit differently today. I wanted to give you guys some archived footage that I had laying around about one Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Now, in order to do his profile justice, I would have to say, first and foremost, this guy was a maniac, a psychopath, a sociopath, everything wrapped up into one. He was created. He wasn't born this way. This man was definitely created. As a youngster, he had a tío, an uncle, who actually served in Vietnam. And this uncle came back with horror stories about mutilating women, killing people just because. And, there was a lot going on at that time. Back in the days in Vietnam, a lot of the soldiers came back with PTSD and traumatized from things they seen or things they participated in. There was a lot of horror and a lot of horror stories that were definitely told. At the age of 13, Richard Ramirez actually seen that same uncle kill his wife. So Richard Ramirez watched his aunt be mutilated and killed and shot. I think this right here set the trend. This set the pattern for Richard Ramirez. So at that time, what he chose to do was become a petty burglar. Him and his uncle would commit petty crimes, burglaries, things of that nature, until his uncle was, of course, arrested and, caught up on that situation with the aunt. And Richard Ramirez didn't stop. His lust for killing started to grow and grow. As a kid, he started to kill young animals and then gravitated to killing bigger animals like cats and dogs. And this is kind of a pattern for future serial killers. People want to test out that kill. They want to see what's cracking with it. They want to see if perhaps they are able and willing to do things of that nature. See, not everybody could stab somebody. Not everybody can kill somebody. It takes a cold, callous, calculated person to do it. Now, of course, people can do it on a whim if you hurt one of their family members, if they're drunk, things like that. Of course, murders occur. But for someone to do it coldly and proficiently, they have to see if they can do it first. And this is why a lot of serial killers kill animals and small birds and things of that nature. Now, at the end of the day, Richard Ramirez is a monster. Don't get it twisted. You see these pictures, you see a young kid, a smile, a smirk. You see a normal kid, a Latino, but he is far from that. He's a vicious, very vicious killer. He was born in El Paso, Texas. And, as a young kid in El Paso, Texas, he's seen a lot. He's seen a lot of brutality, a lot of shootings, a lot of murders. A lot of things happened around him as a young kid that impacted his life. Of course, when his uncle did that murder in front of him and told all these stories, I think this intrigued him. For most kids, it would scare them. It would turn them off. But this only fueled the fire of Richard Ramirez and made him even more vicious than he already was. He was starting to formulate plots and plans and things that he wanted to do. He was about to become one of the most notorious serial killers and craziest serial killers ever in American history. This guy was a maniac, and that's a fact. I'm going to tell you a little story about Richard Ramirez, kind of how he impacted my life. As a kid, I remember my father always being in and out of prison, incarcerated. And so my mother took care of her 4 children alone. I would help my mother being the oldest and walk to the stores, go get her packs of cigarettes with that same old note. How moms that smoked cigarettes back in the days would shoot you the little note one time. Mijo, I need you to go get me some cigarettes, porfas, right? So hey, Mom, can I have a food stamp so I could buy some penny candies? Every once in a while, I would get that stamp. Every once in a while, I would, right? But for the most part, moms looked out, and I took care of, things. I had to be the man around the house while my father was incarcerated, and that's just the way it was going to be, period. My mom needed help, and I was going to help her, Anyways, I know a lot of you out there went through the same, dealings and willings and dealings when it came to family life. But I remember one time watching the news as a young kid with my mother, and this guy popped on the screen, and it wasn't Richard Ramirez's face, but it was a drawing. It was basically an artist sketch of the Night Stalker. That's what they would call him at this time. They dubbed him the Night Stalker because what he would do would break into houses and, basically rape and kill women. He was a sexual deviant. but he was a murderer also. And I remember he was killing people throughout the state of California, and this scared my mother. See, this guy, Richard Ramirez, had moved, from El Paso, Texas to go to Hollywood. Just everyone has the dreams, man. They think LA, they think Hollywood, they think acting, they think they're going to be somebody. But what they do is they either end up on Skid Row or they end up at Tecato in the alley, or they end up dead. Not everyone can live their dream. Anyways, Richard Ramirez had these dreams. So we went to LA, and of course, as a kid, I was scared. I was scared because this guy grew up to be a killer. Now, no one at this time knew who Richard Ramirez was or his name. We only knew him by the Night Stalker. And I remember that first night of hearing about him, I stood up all night scared under my bed, waiting with the big old knife as a little kid. I was probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6. And I was ready. I was ready for whatever. So we can get it on, homie, in any type of weather, right? But at the same time, I didn't know who this mystery vato was. I just knew that if he came through one of my windows or one of my sliding glass doors as a kid, I was going to stab him. I was going to stab him efficiently, profusely, and so I was going to get mine. Bang, bang. And in that fashion, in menudo style, a direct fashion, I was going to get with it, right? Even as a kid, I had the heart of a lion, and my name wasn't Simba, right? So I waited all night, and I remember I stood up for a few nights until I couldn't take it no more. And my mother was very concerned. She was concerned as a young woman with 4 kids, what was she going to do if something like this happened? This predates, cell phones, pagers, all that. It was kind of like an old school house phone, a rotary phone where, by the time 911 was dialed, by the time someone got there, there was going to be bodies laying all over the place. So as a kid, I was scared, and I could see my mother feared. And this wasn't only our household. There was a lot of people in the area that were fearing this vato. This vato was out there killing a lot of women. He was hurting people. So everybody was concerned. There was a lot of concern going on in California at these times. For those of you that weren't around during these times, you'll never experience what we experienced as far as the concern of this serial killer, Richard Ramirez. He was really doing real things. He was really breaking in homes, mutilating women, killing women, children. He had several bodies, several people that he actually killed. Where he made a fatal mistake is one of them were able to get away. One of them survived his attack. And they got that sketch. Now, the sketch and the likeness of the sketch, whoever made that sketch were pretty dead on because, the likeness was Richard Ramirez. They just didn't have him in the flesh or know his name at that time. So what happened is cops started to investigate like they do. And the vato was on the run. He was starting to run and gun because he knew that they were clamping down and they were closing in on him. His picture was being distributed. I remember actually seeing as a kid these people handing out flyers with his face on it. That's how concerned citizens were in the areas. All the way in the whole 219, man, all the way from Tulare County on back, I remember people were always talking about the Night Stalker this, the Night Stalker that. And I was very concerned. So anyways, time went by, time kind of blew past. He wasn't killing anyone in Northern California at that time, so we weren't paying attention to what was really going on in the news. And so what had happened was, I guess he was in East LA trying to do a couple of carjackings, trying to break into cars, when a gang of paisas from the neighborhood of East LA seen him. They seen him at this local gas station trying to break into these cars, and they surrounded him with pitchforks, shovels, and real talk in real life. These paisas beat the shit out of Richard Ramirez, They mobbed him. They did it mobilization style. And you have to understand, it was an all-point bulletin on this guy. Not only were law enforcement looking for him, and of course the cops, they were on him aggressively, but also the citizens. Everybody was tripping because everybody had children, everybody had homes, everybody was like, fuck that, we ain't gonna let this fucking ugly motherfucker break into our house. Now this vato got incarcerated. He ended up getting captured, caught, and sure enough, man, he admitted all his murders, he admitted all these burglaries, because he started out as a burglar. He was just breaking into homes, and then he progressed to doing sexual acts, rape and things of that nature, and then it went from there to actual murder, and mutilation. So this guy gets incarcerated and he doesn't stop, right? He doesn't stop. He doesn't proclaim his innocence. He proclaims he's from the devil. He proclaims that he's part of a satanic cult, that he did it at the behest of the evil, the evilness within him. The guy stops brushing his teeth. His teeth are very bad. That was one characteristic I'll never get over about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. De vato está feo, right? Ugly as fucking sin, and at the same time has some beat up ass teeth, looking like he was from fucking London, England, right? Just toe back from the flow back. This vato needed ultra bright crest, and any type of motherfucking aqua fresh they can give him. Portafas, right? If I was in the county when he got to the county and I was his age, I would have shot him a care package immediately because this vato needed it. Breath like death. But anyways, he played this satanic role to the T. You know, he had that look. He had that evil stare. He actually got a pentagram tattooed on his hand, to which he showed off. He was compared, you know, he was being compared to the likeness of Ted Bundy, Charles Manson. You know, a lot of the evil that was going on at this time, they compared him to, you know, which was crazy because at this time we had never had a serial killer of Latino descent that was actually being compared to these guys. Everyone thought that the Anglo-Saxons, meaning the white people, were the only ones killing people, but that was not, that was further from the truth. Everybody, you know, has serial killers within their race, their creed, whatever you want to call it. The human race, man, no one knows what makes the mind tick, you know, or what makes the mind go off. This guy definitely was off. Like I said, he was a sociopath and a psychopath, and he was ugly as sin. I just got to keep it real, man. This motherfucker was butt ugly. Uglier than butt, right? Call him butt man, butt face. Sasuke, everything was ugly, especially his face. But I thought it was Butter's face, Chale, homie, even his face. You know what I mean? He's butt man. Everything is ugly but the weather, right? Anyways, trip out. He was raining down on people and killing people, and they finally had got him in East LA, which was a great thing. This was a time when people came together with one goal. And the goal was to get this man off the streets because he posed a threat to people. He posed a dangerous threat. And so this guy gets locked up. He's in the LA County Jail. Of course, they keep him isolated and separated from general population because of his sex crimes and because of the heinous fucking nature of his crimes. I'm sure if he walked on them yardas with Sureños, Southsiders, or anyone of that nature, he would have got waxed, taxed, and put in motherfucking Central Max, right? It would have been ugly for him. He was not going to be in any of these pods or any of these tiers. On any of these tiers, they kept him basically isolated from general population for his own safety and security, but also for the safety and security of the institution. Wasn't no one trying to do paperwork. Wasn't no one trying to see a dead body. This guy had already did enough. So anyways, what happens is a trip. He starts to play the satanic role. He'd go to courts, look all crazy at the judge, look all crazy at the jury. And he wasn't tripping. You know, he wasn't tripping. He knew what he had coming. He basically knew what he had coming. But what tripped me out the most in this story was all these people that started to actually worship this guy. This guy got more mail, more admirers, more women writing him than any serial killer in history. You know, women gravitated towards this ugly motherfucker, right? They liked him. And he actually ended up marrying in 1996 one of the females that corresponded with him for a lot of years. Of course, he was convicted and given the death penalty, to which he rightly deserved. This is one individual I can say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, deserved the death penalty. This vato needed to rot, right? Straight up. And I don't say that about a lot of people. If you touch children, if you're a weirdo, if you're out there fucking just being a serial killer and killing innocent people, you deserve to rot somewhere where the sun don't shine. Vato, orale. And in that fashion, and that's exactly where they put Richard Ramirez, basically on that theater right there in San Quentin, to rot on death row until he would be executed. Of course, he was never executed. He succumbed to cancer and ended up dying right there on death row. But even until his dying days, you know, when he was actually finally gone from Earth, his legacy still lived on. There's still a lot of copycat killers and people that worship this vato Richard Ramirez, which always has tripped me out because someone who was that fucking vile, that vicious in nature, I mean, I don't know what people see in him. I think a lot of people are enraptured and they're fascinated by serial killers. They're fascinated by the unknown. They're fascinated by the dark side. You know, you got a lot of people that pay attention to, you know, serial killing and what's going on with it and why they do it. Everyone's trying to figure out and be a psychologist and figure out what makes these people tick. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the gun 101, and I'm going to tell you exactly what makes them tick. A whole lot of nada, right? A whole lot of not having their screws tightened. They got their screws loose and they're vicious characters because they want attention. That's basically what it is. They want all the attention. They want to be somebody. Either they got touched when they were younger, their uncle gave it to them long dick style. Something bad happened in their life that set them off on this career path, right? This career path of death. And that's just what it is. Basically, it's an individual that doesn't know, that knows better, but doesn't care. They lose all touch with reality. They think and they become these higher beings. They want attention. They're attention getters. They're clout chasing. Okay, Richard Ramirez was a clout chaser. But the only way, because this ugly motherfucker, right, couldn't get no pussy, the only way that this motherfucker could clout chase was to kill people to gain attention. And of course, with a lot of these serial killers, they want that notoriety. They want that attention. They don't want to put up with the incarceration and what goes along with it, but they definitely want the attention. That's why a lot of them will leave calling cards, bloody footprints, signatures, things of that nature, because they want people to know it's them without knowing it's them. Straight babosos, if I ever seen one. Anyways, Richard Ramirez basically was one of the most notorious Latino serial killers ever to walk the face of the earth. Where he's at now, one only knows does one. I can't call it in a menudo style in a direct fashion. I know he had an impact on my life. He's someone I'll never forget. That's why I wanted to touch on this profile and do it the way I did. Here's a slideshow, like I said. This is actually a video I've been sitting on for a long time and I wanted to throw out there. So without too much said, man, I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you got coming to you, man. Go out there and hustle for your familia, because no one's going to do it for you. If you see a baboso like this, he's a shady character, he's doing it. He did about with the pitchfork one time. I don't promote violence, but I was getting, hey, watch out. These motherfuckers right here got to go. You know, he make the Latinos look bad in a serious fashion. But at the end of the day, man, no one knows what make these guys tick. But I'll tell you what will make them talk. You know what I mean? Straight up. A little chokehold never hurt nobody. With that being said, man, I hope that you guys get it. If you like this, please hit that like and subscribe. There's a notification bell right there. I'd appreciate you hitting it. If not, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do what I does because I does what I do. This is Gunner's Profiles, and we're going to continue to bring you the latest, greatest, and dopest profiles I could possibly bring to you. This about the Richard Ramirez was a trip.